I'm Mansha
Let's hope that
AIwali, and
helps.
today I'm truly honored
Hello everyone,
to welcome
Assalamualaikum.
a
I'm
very
Mansha
special
AIwali
guest,
and today I'm
Mr.
truly honored
Michael.
to
And
welcome a
Michael is a
special
consultant,
guest,
professional speaker,
Mr.
workshop
Michael.
leader,
And
and
Michael
columnist
is a
whose work focuses on
consultant,
building resilience. He has
workshop leader,
inspired
and
with audiences all the way from Bermuda to Singapore, helping people thrive through challenges with creativity, experience, and humor.
helping
Today we'll be
people thrive
learning
through
from his
challenges with
journey, insights,
creativity,
and wisdom.
experience, and
Welcome,
humor.
Michael,
Today
and
we'll
thank you for
be
joining us.
learning from his journey, insights, and wisdom. Welcome, Michael, and thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here and an honor to be here. It's great to share information.
Me too. So let's start with the first question.
Oh,
Could
audio's
you
gone.
please tell us a little?
Let's start with the first question. Could you please tell
Uh,
us a little?
wait.
I said I heard you say first question, and then the audio disappeared.
Okay. So let me complete my first question. Could
Okay,
you please
so
tell us a
let me
little
complete my
about
first
your
question.
personal journey and
Could you
how
please tell us
resilience
a
became
little
your
about your
focus?
personal journey and how resilience became your focus?
Absolutely. Resiliency became my focus when, with good intention, a doctor told me when I was 17 with my chronic health issue, there was nothing I could do. Now, I'm not sure about your family, but in my family and my grandparents' families, saying there's nothing you can do is considered a no-no. You never say there's nothing you can do. There's always something you can do. So I went home and pondered, felt some despair for a few days, had some sleepless nights, and then I went, what have my parents taught me? What has faith taught me? What did my grade 9 physical education teacher teach me? And what did my martial arts teacher teach me? All the people, not all, but many of the people I honored and respected always told me when you get something that's overwhelming, what can you do about it? Don't just give up. So I went to the library of a major university in Toronto, and I'm blessed that there's several major universities here with libraries, as well as a public library system with 100 libraries. So there's lots of resources long before the internet. And I found out there was research that said, if you have a chronic health issue, if you practice these skills, there's no cure, but you can have 20% less symptoms, less intensity, less frequency, and also 30% cheaper to take care of. Well, that made the doctor less wise, in my opinion. He should have never said there was nothing I could do. And so with prayer, helping support a family, exercise, diet, and practicing the skills and the research, I went within 2 years, I went a year with no symptoms, no pain, nothing. That was like, wow, why aren't we teaching this everywhere? So now I'm attempting to be the guy that teaches it everywhere.
Okay. So that's wonderful journey. So my next question is, what inspired you to become a speaker, consultant, and trainer?
Consultant and trainer.
I was inspired to start to speak, coach, train, consult, and all that thing because people came to me after my cancer issues, because I had a 7-year journey with cancer, most unpleasant, 5 surgical treatments and 1 major chemo treatment. And people said, why are you happy? So it started off with somebody at work saying, can we go for coffee? My treat. I need to understand it because a relative's really ill and they're in despair. And so first of all, wherever you are, no judgment on my part, but there are things we can do to help us have less despair and a sense of fortitude to push through a little bit or a lot. Again, no judgment if you're in despair or depressed. Just practice some skills and it could help. It's not for everybody, but it is for many of us. And so I started off going for coffee. Then it was, could you meet my spouse? And we go for coffee and dessert. And then it's like, would you come to a family barbecue and talk to my relative that's really ill? And after 20 or 30 of these requests, it was like, I should do a workshop. And then it was like, would you come and talk to my staff? We just had a really beautiful customer die while they were working with us. And we're all just sad and in pain because they were nice and they were only 42, the sort of person you hope to live to 101. So that's how I got started. And the next thing you know, I'm working all over Canada. Then I get a call, would I work in Bermuda? Yes. Go to a beautiful place with beaches too? Of course. Go to Singapore, work with the government? Absolutely. That's as close as I've got to Pakistan so far. But I'd love to work there. We'll figure that out one day. Anyways, so it's really important for people to know that resiliency is a skill set, it's a process, and it's beliefs and values. And so far, my friends in many faiths all tell me it doesn't contradict anything they've ever learned in their walk of faith, which is also really important.
Oh, I love the way you explained it.
Oh, I love the way you explained it.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So, how do you personally define resilience?
Yeah, welcome. So, how do you personally define resilience?
Well, resilience is a set of beliefs and values that I went to see a psychologist who works with Olympic athletes. And when an Olympic athlete gets injured, they have to be careful that they don't let the injury define their whole world. So with my chronic health issue, for the first couple of weeks until I went to the library and got the research, the illness owned me. It bothered my sleep. It caused me a lot of pain. My belly was all swollen up from this disease. It was really not nice. So it owned me. But the psychology coach talked about exactly what my parents had taught me, what my martial arts teacher taught me, my phys ed teacher taught me. You have to own your problems. You can't change everything about them, but you have to change. You have to own what you can own. So the resiliency research said that if I got the sleep I should get to the best of my ability, given that I have a lot of pain and it makes it hard to sleep. If I get the right amount of exercise every day, 6 days a week, 1 day of rest. If I eat good food most of the time, nobody's perfect. I like chocolate ice cream in the heat of the summer once a week. Vanilla ice cream once a week. It's delicious. I'm not going to try to live perfectly. I'm trying to live exceptionally. And I got results.
Wow, that's so inspiring.
Wow, that's so inspiring.
Thank you.
So let's move to the next question. What do you think are the biggest misconceptions people have about
What do you think
resilience?
are the biggest misconceptions people have about resilience?
Biggest misconceptions about resiliency? Great question. Some people think it's magical. It's not. It's hard work, 20 to 40 minutes a day. If you're really stuck, some people think it's too much work. Fair enough, but if you don't put the work in, you don't get the results. Some people think that it should happen quickly. And for some people, it's amazing in just 3 and 4 weeks of practicing skills, it makes a real impact for them. Other people practice for months and then they get the breakthrough. So the misconception is that it's easy for some and really hard for others. And it's about consistency, practicing the skills 3 to 4 times a day. and also making sure that you pay attention to what are you listening to? What are you feeding your brain? What are you feeding your spirit and your feelings? The world's full of people using our technology to trick us, to manipulate us, to make us feel things that are going against our best, our family's best, our country's best interests. So be careful how much attention you pay to things that are just not real. Is a little bit of social media fun? Oh, yes. I get to hear music groups from around the world online. Wow. I love it. Introduces me to things that I would never see anywhere else. I get to hear professors from around the world give lectures. Wow. One of my things I'm interested in is electrification. I love that because it gives me updates and it's happening at record speeds. Because the internet and computer strength means that designs and other things are happening much faster than when I was your age. At your age, there was a big breakthrough every 5 to 7 years. That was great. Now it seems like it's every 5 to 7 months.
Okay, true, I agree.
Okay, true, I agree.
So, what daily habits do you practice to
So,
strengthen
what
your own
daily
resilience?
habits do you practice to strengthen your own resilience?
Sleep 6 days a week should be lots of sleep, as much as you need. Everybody's going to have a day a week when I was your age that was homework, an essay, or when I was a little older, I got a job in my small town of 800 people. Only one of us out of a whole high school of 1,000 plus kids, I got the summer job. It was a bad year for summer jobs. So I just put in the hours, 60 hours a week. The pay was awful. The hours were awful, but I had a job to help pay for my responsibilities. Whereas almost 1,000 kids, no summer work. So sleep. What can you do that's meaningful to you outside of school? Can you do something for volunteering for 4 hours a week or whatever? It feeds the spirit and the heart to help lift others up, because there's always those that are having a better life than us in some capacity, and there's always those that need a hand up. How can we help them and nurture them? Because in nurturing them, it nurtures us. We just have to have boundaries that we don't spend all our time helping them, and that gets in the way of us being safe and successful, prosperous, because we can't help everybody from an empty well. So sleep, volunteering, eating the best foods. I always say 20 meals a week should be your best efforts. And I've been known once a year in the summertime to have a vanilla ice cream mango lunch. That's it. Not exactly healthy. It's good ice cream, good mangoes. So you could say I had a fruit ice cream meal. But once a year, and my taste buds have a party. So sleep, eating, volunteering, best efforts to develop this. Because in a world full of people trying to trick us and manipulate us, the better education, the best education you can get, being open to learn from others. When I was in my 30s, the smartest computer person I know or knew in my neighborhood was 12 years old. Be careful as you age that you don't get ageist. I've had some really wise 90-plus-year-old friends, and I've got some really smart, wise 12 and 15-year-old friends. I try to be open to learn from all of them and be supportive as they request.
That's great. My next question is, who has been your greatest role model in resilience?
I heard you say, who's been your greatest, and then the audio disappeared.
Oh, no. No, wait. Let me repeat.
Let me repeat.
Please.
Okay. Wait. Who has been your greatest role model in resilience?
Greatest role model in resilience.
The first one that I remember is my dad. he would point out things in nature. So I'm 4 years old. I live in a small town. The house across the street, there's a fence, there's a farm. And within a year of moving there, I was only 2. So I don't really remember that. I just know I was told that. But at 4, the farm was bought and it was going to be divided into house lots for housing to be built. But for 4 or 5 years, that didn't happen. My dad would take me through walks in the field and he would point things out in nature that was resilient. See this tree? It's leaning. Do you think trees have muscles like humans? So is it leaning into the wind or away from the wind? Don't answer. Think about it. So he would get me to slow this brain down, be calm, and the next week or 2 weeks when we're walking, there's that tree that's leaning into the wind, away from the wind. I think it's leaning away from the wind, Dad. Good answer. You really thought about it because it doesn't have muscles. It goes where the wind blows it. A couple of weeks later, see this tree? It's got moss on one side and no moss on the other side. Moss likes cool and damp. What side gets more sunshine? Don't answer. We'll talk about it in a couple of weeks. Well, he sort of gave me the answer, but at 4, he was getting me to think about what did I observe? What did I think? So that was my first role model, was my dad, by giving me examples outside of humans with nature. And my grade 1 teacher, who has since passed, she pointed out to my parents that I had printing and handwriting issues. I am part of the 1% of the population that has a hard time printing and writing. I don't have fine motor control. I press too hard. And to quote a loving relative who meant well, Michael, it looks like you're a chicken on bad drugs. Sadly, very true. So by grade 10, making $4 an hour, I bought a typewriter for $500, and my marks went up. School got easier because I was allowed to type my essays and my homework. So several mentors, my dad pointing out examples in nature, and my grade 1 teacher saying to my parents in a letter, Michael has problems in school that most students find easy. That's not bad. It's just annoying. Doesn't make him a bad student, just a challenge. However, he has superior skills in the classroom and in the playground that will do him very well outside of school. Tell him, remind him frequently not to give up. Just get your schooling done to the best of your abilities, and then you'll do much better later. And when I got to college, my marks went up to 12% because I got to type everything. There was no preconception of what sort of a student I was from public school and high school in my small town. And I worked 30 plus hours a week and still got a good average and got a job before I graduated.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can you
Now
hear
I
me?
can.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Let's
Can
talk
you hear
about
me?
your challenges and inspirations. So, what was the toughest challenge you ever faced in your career?
Toughest challenge you ever faced in your career?
Challenges in my career. At one point, and she's very healthy now, but at one point, my youngest daughter had a brain tumor. So, trying to be a good father and help her get the right medical care, as well as continue to work to keep income coming in. So, I really had to practice the basics: exercise, eat to the best eat the best food to the best of my abilities, make sure that we got her the right care. Because her tumor was so complicated, the local hospital couldn't help. And the regional hospital said, oh, we have one surgery like this every year. Good. They knew what to do. But would you take your precious car or your relative to somebody that did something once a year? So I got on the phone, and the one thing I'm good at was I collect people in a positive way. And I knew a very famous surgeon, and I left him voicemail 10 o'clock at night saying, my daughter's 7 years old. She has a tumor in her temporal lobe, the size of my adult thumb to the second joint. Who do you recommend we see for her best treatment options? In Ontario, the state, the province I live in, or in Canada? So they quickly said the next morning by 9:05, you're going to see this doctor at this hospital, and you're going to go to this hospital a week before to get an MRI scan. And don't you know that she got taken care of very quickly? And the surgeon that arranged it all for me said, and nobody else is getting kicked out of the lineup, because I know you would never want that. Nope, I don't want somebody else's kid to get kicked down the line just because I'm friendly. So they actually opened up the surgical bay when it was normally closed, brought in staff, got her operated on and taken care of. It was a true blessing. But it was a challenge to my business because I had these events across Canada I'm supposed to be speaking at, and one of my blessed associates filled in for me on 2 events and then gave me almost all the money from that he earned from the event, because he knew that somebody in the hospital, it's expensive. 3-hour round trip drives, parking, etc. So it was a blessing.
Okay, great. So my last question is, what's one message you want every person to remember about resilience?
What's one message you want every person to remember about?
Good question. One thing about resiliency I want people to remember: resiliency is a lifelong process and project. And some, when you're doing your best to be resilient, will make fun of you because you're boring. Well, I don't go to late night events very much because I need sleep to manage my health since the chronic health issue. Does that mean when I was in my early 20s going to college, I didn't go out one night a month? I went out, I listened to live music. It was amazing. But I tried to do it on an evening where the next day I didn't have to go to school early, so I could get my 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So resiliency, you practice it for the rest of your life, but it can give you better health, better relationships. It can help make school a little to a lot easier. And I think we're all worth it. And so that's my message. Resiliency, something you can practice and not stop for the rest of your life. But like anything else, you can make it a habit to the point where you do it and you don't realize you're doing it.
Let's end this interview. Thank you so much, Michael, for sharing your experiences and wisdom with us today. Your expression is truly inspiring, and I believe our audience has gained a valuable insight in both professional and personal life. It has been an honor to have you with us today. We wish you continued success in helping people build resilience across the world.
Thank you. And for those that don't know, this is a t-shirt of my famous Canadian, Terry Fox. Terry Fox ran 143 days in a row to raise money for cancer research. You can hear the emotion in my voice. 143 days in a row with an artificial leg that he lost to cancer to raise money for cancer research. That's the ultimate level of resiliency. I don't know anybody else that was more athletic than that in my life. So there you go. He's my major inspiration for health.
That's really interesting and inspiring for all of us.
That's really interesting and inspiring for all of us.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's end this interview here. I hope you guys like it. So,
Let's end this interview here. I hope you guys like it.